Challenges facing developing countries in the production and teaching of Braille music. Case study from Iran. I'm Dr. Meysam Khataminia from Iran. In this presentation, I will discuss some of the difficulties blind students in countries with low-income economies using Iran as a case study face in accessing Braille technology and supplies, as well as other access issues to Braille music. Braille has been used in Iran for about a century. At first, the blind used simple writing tools, but with the passage of time and with the advancement of new technologies, they have partially achieved the use of modern means and promoted the use of Braille as a universal need. As the Braille line is standardized for all languages, musical science can also be read and written. Fortunately, with the introduction of computers into the blind world, the increasing use of Braille embossers and the availability of specialized software capable of converting ordinary text to Braille, books can be easily converted to Braille. However, non-government organizations in the field of the blind in Iran do not have much power, and neither does the government allow them to become powerful. Experts who want to do anything to improve the situation of vision-impaired people face disruptions and obstacles. Converting music notes to Braille is one of the most difficult types of conversions because there are so many details in music that have to be analyzed very carefully. It is important to emphasize that blind people interested in learning music must be very familiar with reading and writing Braille before they attempt to learn to read or write Braille music. For example, in a piece of music, many details such as key, time signature, tempo, dynamic, pitch, color, octave, articulation, rhythm, adornments, and many other details are mentioned that are essential in the accuracy of writing Braille music. In Iran, people are making an effort to convert musical notes into Braille. These efforts have yet to achieve their desired results as many problems, including the expense of the software in a struggling economy and the deteriorating economic situation in Iran, especially after US sanctions and the severe collapse of the Iranian currency. These music programs are therefore of little importance to the government. Thus, the blind are deprived of these proficiencies available to most of the rest of the world. One other problem with Braille music in Iran is that the Iranian political system is a system of religious ideology. The ideology of the Iranian political system has led to the unrestrained power of religious institutions and decreased the amount of attention and importance on music and musicians to they are marginalized. In a country where policies are formulated in such a way that music lies on the border between lawful and forbidden, accepted and not, the ruler's view is that they either don't look to music as an accepted art form, or they don't pay much value to it, and thus they do not strive for its growth and prosperity. They do not appreciate this art form and its followers, and they do not respect its achievements, and unfortunately, they occasionally make disparaging and insulting public remarks about the artists themselves. Musicians and musical instruments are not shown on television, and women are not allowed to sing, and dance is forbidden, and so on. There are other issues which I will discuss briefly. One, there is a lack of a coherent training in Braille and music science in accordance with the latest international standard science, which include various instruments. Two, there is a lack of a codified, comprehensive, and accessible collection of net Braille training in Iran. Three, there is a lack of familiarity of the private sector with the music of the blind and lack of profitability of producing Braille music resources. Four, there is a lack of a coherent and accessible archive of Braille music sources for the blind. Five, there is a lack of a clear focus on music for the blind and written sources in this field in Iran. Six, there is a need to acquaint the blind interested in learning music with the graphic form and science of visual notes to better understand the concepts of music. Since blind musicians cannot play and read music sheets concurrently, their interest in using Braille is somewhat reduced, which has further limited the existence of Braille music books. Most blind people in Iran will tend to choose to play piano, as there is a severe lack of Braille music supplies for other instruments. Other problems include that Iranians cannot easily obtain or buy from the world's Braille libraries and often cannot even create accounts in some digital libraries. In some cases, the regular music schools in Iran do not accept blind students' admissions due to the lack of Braille resources for blind students and teachers' unfamiliarity with Braille notes. In addition to above-mentioned problems, there is a lack of even a music community owned by the blind, and as a result, there is no consistency of blind artists. Nevertheless, with all these shortcomings, Iran is witnessing the flourishing of the musical talent of the blind and its influential presence in various fields of music, including the management of music instruments, music institutions, writing books and essays, translating musical works of epic performances, and performing magnificent pieces which require special attention in the field of learning and applying music among people with vision impairment. Despite their shortcomings, there are various ways to convert musical notes to Braille that can still be very useful to the blind. I believe that the educational ministry should enable blind people to get acquainted with different instruments in view of the necessity of learning music for the blind from an early age and enable effective communication between blind students and music schools. The variety of Iranian instruments necessitates the need for specialized committees consisting of experts familiar with Braille music to accurately compose the science of Iranian music notation and to be accepted internationally. In recent years, an encyclopedia on Braille has been developed in Iran but needs updating. There is a strong desire among Braille music experts in Iran to have a specific science in Iranian music approved at Braille international assemblies, obviously following all due diligence. In conclusion, it is suggested that in the domestic arena, policymakers pay more attention to the role of music in improving the lives of people with vision impairments. In the international arena, the creation of appropriate mechanism to transfer technology and other people's experiences to Iran so this process is not affected by political tensions and its consequences. For example, removing economic sanctions in this area can facilitate the blind's access to new technologies and decrease the difficulties along this path. Thank you very much.